Hi everyone, welcome back to Real Talk. This is episode 15. We're going to talk about real estate, real life, real fun, and real conversation. But we're still not having all that much fun.
It's all business
It's
today.
all business today. So I'm here with Eddie Galvin, who is our broker manager at the Caldwell Banker Wayne office. So welcome to Real Talk. First time on a podcast, huh?
Yes, first time.
Well, that's right. We'll talk over you, so it's not a problem. And Jamie Martin, my business manager, welcome back.
Hi, guys.
We do have a lot of business going on. So in the last episode 14, we talked about the new laws, Eddie. So I wanted to bring you in today, let me get the official title, to talk about the Real Estate Consumer Protection Enhancement Act. So the three biggest changes, as we said last time, were that the buyers must sign a broker agreement with an agent before they see a home.
Correct.
Number two, the commission has always been negotiable, but now commission is being changed with the way it's paid, the three different ways.
Correct.
Concession, sellers will continue to pay it, or the buyers will pay it. And then also the new agency, designated agency that has been formed, which is under the dual agency.
Correct.
Okay, so here you go. You ready for the hot seat? So what do you think the most important changes in those three?
I think the most important and the biggest one is going to be having the agents sign the buyer agency agreement prior to the first showing.
Yeah. So Jamie, do you think it's, well, maybe both of you, do you think it's the most important or the hardest?
For the agent, I think it's the hardest.
Yeah. And what do you think, Eddie?
I agree.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
hardest part, I think, of it.
So once again, why don't you tell it in like a broker's way? Like, what is the rule? Like, what does it really say?
The rule says you got to have a buyer agency agreement signed prior to the first showing.
Correct. So it's no longer who opens the door.
Right.
It's all about the buyer representation agreement. And what are other agents saying? Like, what are you hearing?
The biggest complaint is the extra work.
Okay.
The extra work that they have to now do.
Is it the work or they don't know how to do it?
I think it's
Not
a
to
mix
be
of
rude.
both.
Okay.
It's a mix of both.
Yeah.
Change is scary,
it's
right?
new. It's
Change
something
is
new
so
for everybody.
scary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something new for everybody. The agency, the agreement has been around.
Which we never used it in the
Right.
state.
So that's why
Well, our
it's,
area.
That's
Yeah.
why it's something new. So
It's so new. And, you know, I was talking to corporate this morning about a couple questions, and there's like 10 different agreements.
5.
Well, it seemed, all right, there's 15 different agreements. Well, also
Feels
too,
like a million.
we're Zillow, as you know, we're Zillow Flex Partners.
Right.
So Zillow
So you
has
have their own.
another one.
Yeah.
So there's different ones. Plus, you know, Jamie and I have been training on this for well over 6 months, basically when it first came out. So there's also the old agreements, because we didn't get the new agreements until August 1st when the law went into place at 3:00.
Yeah.
So there just seems to be a lot of agreements.
There's definitely a lot of agreements. There was a lot of changes.
Yeah.
And there's still changes coming. This is very
Well,
fluid.
That's
there's,
the other thing.
There's a lot of changes still coming. So these agreements are not going to be the definite ones.
No.
You know, in the next couple of months, we might get new agreements.
Or we may get more agreements.
Or we may get more.
Yeah.
It's not.
Please no more.
There's no
Please
one
no
scenario for every agreement. That's
Because
why.
there's the one-time showing.
Right.
Right. There's showing without compensation, but we don't work for free, so that's not being used. There's the showing exclusive. There's showing for one house. I mean, there's so many.
There's a non-exclusive.
There's a non-exclusive. So there's many different ways. And I'll be honest with you, I think it's really hard for the consumer because this is so new to them.
Right. It's going to be a lot of education on
Yes.
the buyer side, on the buyer's agent side. You have to educate your buyers. You know, just like you educate your sellers.
That's what
Right?
I was.
Well,
It's
yes.
it's the mirror image of what you do on the seller side. You do a seller presentation. You're gonna have to do buyer presentations.
Right.
Well, everyone always said, I want a listing appointment. I want to get a signed listing. It's like, well, now you're going to do a buyer's presentation. Right. You're going to get a signed buyer agreement.
Right.
I feel like for agents that have a little more listing experience too, this will be a much easier process for them because they're used to talking about the listing agreement. Mm-hmm. They're used to talking about compensation, they're used to talking about what is in that contract. They're used to talking about why you should work with them.
Yes.
And going over the listing presentation, as Eddie
their
said.
value proposition.
Exactly.
Why list with me? What's my value proposition? You have to do now the same thing to a buyer.
Yes.
That's really all it is.
It should have been this way to begin with.
Yeah.
I am surprised that buyers did not take who they worked with as seriously as sellers do. Sellers, take it so seriously, which they should, because it really does matter. But I'm kind of surprised the buyers haven't done the same thing over the years. I am
think
surprised
the
by
thing
that.
is, in some people's mind, when they think about a real estate transaction, they don't think ahead as far as how much that buyer's agent is actually there to do for you and to protect you for and to represent you for. They just think about the initial, which is that showing, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, opening the door of a house is the easy part of the transaction. And that's not the part that you really need the right representative for.
Yeah.
It's all the other steps in the process.
A buyer's agent's job really begins once you're under contract.
Yes.
That's when the hard part starts.
Well,
Exactly.
we have come up with, you probably remember the numbers, how many ways we represent you?
50.
50 ways we represent you. There was some people that had 110 ways. We took it down to 50 ways we represent you, and then negotiate on your behalf.
Right.
Jamie, how many ways?
20?
20 ways yes. And our new thing is like how we win. Because you want to hire somebody who has a reputation of success. It's just like everything. Who you work with matters, which I say all the time is as important for a buyer as it is a seller. I think it's going to be great for the industry.
It is.
Once it all shakes out.
Once it settles out, it's going to be great. You're protecting yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody wants to work for free.
No.
We've all been ghosted by buyers.
Yes.
Right? It's a protection. Just like you protect yourself with a seller, with the listing agreement, you're not protecting yourself with the buyer's agreement.
Right.
We did have some issues this weekend of buyers looking at a house without signed representation. It is surprising to me how many people know the rules and will not follow the rules. So let's talk about the penalties.
Well, was this at an open house?
No.
This was not, to be clear, this was not us.
Oh, it wasn't us. No, it was, I'm sorry, another agent.
Because that's what it's on.
And this has nothing to do with the other agent. This is more talking about the importance that people need to understand and trying to educate the consumers by talking about it. It's a $15,000 fine if you get caught showing a home without a representation agreement. First.
Now, if the buyer, we can't have buyers who are unrepresented.
Correct. So
That's still legal. Even if they go to an open house,
open houses
they're not
are
required to sign.
Correct.
They can be unrepresented.
Yeah, open houses can be, but if I'm going to meet Sally and Fred at a house, before I open that door, I need a signed agreement. Otherwise, I'm breaking the law.
Correct.
And it's a $15,000 fine. Correct. That's a huge fine.
Yeah.
Which it is breaking the law. So what do you think is going to be one of the biggest problems?
Getting those agreements signed.
Yeah. Well, we got 12 signed this weekend, which is awesome.
And you've been practicing for
That's it.
past 6 months.
Yeah.
So some agents haven't, unfortunately. There's been webinars, there's been trainings happening. We're doing a big training next week.
Yep,
which you
we're all
guys are
signed
coming.
up.
So there's a lot of education involved.
Yeah.
And you have to stay up to date with all these changes.
I feel like now more than ever, training and education as an agent is so important because you need to understand the facts of what's going on and also be able to explain that to your clients.
Yeah. Jamie, on Saturday, we met on Friday for 3 hours. On Saturday, I sent out a very long email. I sent out a very long chat about, what needs to be done in the documents, how you should use them, when you should use them, and also to understand the consumer is going to be afraid of this because it's all new. And then today, you sent out another long email with scripting, wording, because it is changing. Do you think it's ever going to stop changing now?
Not for a while.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a good 6 months to a year.
It's going to be constantly evolving, I think, for the next 6 months to a year.
Yeah, that's great.
Until the dust settles.
Yeah. Do you supply wine to Karen Peters at our office?
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's not even 5 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock somewhere. So let's talk about the other agents. We were talking earlier about people getting out of the industry.
That's been around the news.
Yeah. What do you think?
It's going to happen. It's going to happen to probably the newer agents. A lot of the part-timers are probably just going to quit. But we're providing the tools, as far as CB goes. I know you do with your team.
Yeah.
We're providing the tools. We're providing the scripts. The buyer presentations are there. The agreements are all there.
Classes.
The classes are there. So as long as you take advantage of the tools that are provided to you, take the trainings, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's going to be the new norm.
I think people, I know even for myself, if I'm overwhelmed by something, you just want to hide from it. You're just kind of like, oh, I can't deal with that now. I'll figure it out. We're lucky that we have a team of people to, talk things out with and talk things through. But if you don't have that support, you need to find it. Even if it's with a fellow agent or someone that you respect in the business or your manager, you have to take advantage of the tools you're given if you're going to succeed.
Because even at this point, it doesn't matter how many years you've been in the business. This is new to everybody.
Oh my!
Exactly.
This is all new to everybody. So you're constantly learning in this business.
It's worse. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. And also too, I'm going to say this, don't hate. Some people are better at computers than others, right, Joshua?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So, once again, my superpower, selling, negotiating, talking. Not internet. I can do the internet, but paperwork.
Gosh, I hope so.
I know, right? Paperwork is not my friend. That's why we have a transaction coordinator, because my job is to take care of people and sell. But change is hard for anyone. But if you're not changing, you're
dying.
You're dying. No one wants that. So, Eddie, any last thoughts for us?
One thing I've been telling a lot of agents that have come to me with, they feel overwhelmed, and what I tell them is take a step back. Forget all the noise that you're reading online, all over social media. Forget all that. Just break it down little by little. And it's not that complicated, right? The open house disclosure, easy.
Done.
Everybody has to get a seller's disclosure signed from a listing. Easy.
Should have had him anyways.
Right. The hardest part, the buyer's agency agreement is the hardest part. But if you take it step by step and you break it down, it's not that complicated.
Yeah.
And if you use the tools that we provide, use the training, we'll be all right.
Yeah. I don't know if people will be able to, it's not one change. That's what I was saying earlier, that I was talking to friends or family over the weekend, and I said to them, you don't understand. You don't understand. Almost please understand me. You don't understand. Everything has changed.
Right.
All of our contracts, every piece of paper that we use as a real estate agent has changed. No one has ever had to sign an agreement before we showed you a home. Ever. In our state.
They were there.
They were there, but no one used
optional.
them.
Yeah, it was just optional.
Well, who used them?
Right.
No one. And now the way that commission has been paid, since I've been doing this well over 30 years, that's changed. And people that love me, my family, my friends, they were kind of like, oh, okay. And I'm like, no, you need to understand.
Yeah, I went to a girls' weekend this weekend, and we had our 3-hour meeting on Friday to talk about the, agreements that came into place and really start working on more training for the team and everything. And I got to the girls' weekend, and none of them
got a drink.
Really, yes, I said, I'm ready for a drink. It's been a week. And none of them really knew what's going on, except one friend who happens to be a buyer client of mine.
Know her well.
That I've been talking to her about this for several months now because I wanted her to know what was coming. That's the closest I can say to someone that would somewhat understand, the changes in the industry, just because I've been prepping her as a buyer to know that this was coming into play. So, I was like, well, it happened.
Yeah, we're here.
A couple other things happened, but it happened. And at least someone kind of knew, but no, if they're not in the industry, it is a little hard to explain
that's probably
how much it affects.
And that's probably the easiest answer when somebody asks, why do I have to sign this? It's the law.
Yeah.
Effective August 1st, it's the law nationwide. It's not a Karen Peters thing. It's not a Caldwell Banker thing.
Right.
It's the law for New Jersey. So anywhere you go, you want to see a house, you have to sign an agreement.
Right.
Well, the thing though that I found, regarding our team or any, top producing agent, everything, it was like, oh, we have to do this. Oh, wait. Oh, we also have to do these 3 things, because everything that we have to do then affected all the systems we have in place for our business.
Right.
So, for example, now when an agent writes an offer, every offer is going to be different. That's going to be chaos.
Yeah.
So like the spreadsheets, if you have multiple offers, the math alone, I can add and subtract, but who's paying commission? The buyer's paying it, seller concession, seller is paying it.
The main numbers there are going to be the nets.
It's going to, every contract we get, now it's going to have a net sheet.
Right.
And that's not normal.
It's not.
So
they've always been available, but how many people actually use them?
Because if there was a seller credit or something, that's easy. This is every offer is going to be not just the price and the terms. It's going to be the price, the commission, and actually the terms to pay the commission.
Who pays the commission?
Correct.
Who pays the commission?
So we have that. Then we have, the agency. There's just so many changes. Can you tell,
and
Eddie?
that's why our job starts.
Are you sick of us, Eddie? Welcome to the Karen Peters group.
Hey,
so
that's what we're here for.
I know, definitely. I think I have reached out to you saying, please help. Can you please get me documents?
We have a million questions.
And now you have all the documents.
Yeah, we have all the documents. So when I said to you, when are the documents coming out? You're like, I have a big meeting tomorrow. I'll text you when the documents come out. Right now in the MLS, where that is where we had all of the buyer's commission, it is illegal to have any commission for buyer's agency listed anywhere that feeds back to the MLS.
How many calls have you gotten?
Oh, we don't get calls because we're really bright, because we have Josh who makes us look awesome. So we have a special number with links back of our website. It looks really impressive. Josh did an amazing job. Jamie and I just said, help.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness for Josh in the last couple
weeks.
weeks.
I'm like, I need this immediately.
Yeah. But that's one of those things.
And that was one of the main concerns that a lot of agents had was, how are we going to find out?
How are you going to find out?
And you're calling the listing agents that are probably getting 1,000 phone calls a day.
That's the thing. Part of it's like just the management of the volume of incoming calls because of that, right? So,
well, if you have a listing that's priced well right now, you can get 40, 50 showings on a listing if it's done properly. And then that means 40 to 50 agents are trying to figure out how they're getting paid. And that data is not public to them. They have to go find it. So how do they find that? I'm actually really amazed with how well the team has worked. Everyone has kind of chipped in with ideas and also putting the systems together. Because without systems, you are once again dead.
And that, again, use the tools that are provided to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because without the tools, you're on your own.
100%.
And what percentage are they saying of realtors that are going to leave the industry if they don't get help?
I don't know the last numbers, but it's up there.
Yeah, I think it's close to 50%.
Yeah, it's up there nationwide.
There's different categories of agents, meaning agents that, don't sell a lot of houses, agents that are not good at technology and don't have the support behind them to help them.
Right.
So, I am good at technology. There's certain things I'm not great at. Right, Josh? Good answer.
You're good at hiring the people to do the
That's
technology.
my job. Exactly. That's why we have people. So
now more than ever, you need the tools.
Yes.
You need the tools and you need the support behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you need to train.
Yeah.
We have training every Wednesday at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's called Spaghetti Meatballs, which I think we've talked about before. And that has been crucial.
And I'd say at least 50% of our classes over the last several months have been regarding this.
We're like, well, we're not going to talk about that. We have to talk about this because this will 100% change the industry.
And it's going to be the new norm.
I don't even think I have never said that this industry will change to this. You know, we had COVID. Yes, it changed things, but not like this.
But because the last big change we had was when buyer agency was introduced into New Jersey, and that was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the last big change
that was in the 90s.
The industry had. That's when I was still in diapers.
So was I. No, I was actually selling real estate.
I wasn't in diapers, but...
Were you born?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just wondering.
I'm an 80s baby.
You are an 80s baby. All right. Well, we've had a little fun. We've had lots of conversations. So, Eddie, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Jamie, we'll talk soon, and we'll meet soon, and maybe have a glass of wine soon, too.
We're going to need it again,
We're going to need it again, yes. So thanks so much for joining Real Talk, and we will talk soon. Take care.